time to start the meeting for March 8th, 4:05 p.m. I gotta accept the minutes from last month's meeting. I'll make the motion. A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to pay bills. I'll make it. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Water department report.
Are we gonna skip number 4 and
Want
go
to skip
back?
number 4 and go back to that, or?
I'd like to.
All right, so, water chairman's not here. If you have anything, you want to bring up anything, water chairman? Anybody want to be a water chairman today?
I got nothing.
Mary, you got anything?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You have anything for the water chairman report?
No.
No? Okay. Patrick's not here, he's running late.
We're all chairman today.
We're all chairmen today. Operations report review. Guess that we can.
So, if you look on page 12 of 21, you'll see the sheet that we send to the health department. We ended up at 489,000 gallons for the month.
Okay.
The previous month was at 494. So we are down a little bit, so that was a good sign. You know, we still have those outstanding leaks, none of which are the village's responsibility. One of them was at Berkeley Square on the fire service line, which was completed last Tuesday by Gleason Construction. So that's one of them that's down. The other one is at 10 List Road. I spoke to Brian. When I had spoke to him, he had not sent out a letter at that time, but it was his intent to do so, talking about the code, the plumbing code that requires them to fix it within a 10-day period of time. And then we have the Prospect Street issue. So those are the outstanding leaks. We're running right on or about this number at this time. It's still very, very early. We're only, a quarter away through the month, but we're, pretty steady with that approximate average. So unless anybody has any questions.
I actually have one question on the operations report, which is less about the data than about an entry that you have on 224 or 225. Did someone physically push one of you guys?
I'm sorry?
I'm on 224 and it says we went to do so ourselves and were pushed by one of the contractors.
Correct.
What page is that, she said? 224.
It was on February 24th.
February 24th, it's page 5 of 21.
5 to 21.
I didn't look at this time.
Yeah, that happens.
Yes, the answer is yes. It did happen. Would you like me to get into the details, Mary?
Well, I would like to know how, I'm assuming no one was really truly physically harmed, that there were no medical injuries incurred.
No medical injuries occurred. But basically what happened was we have the contractor, Segrist, down on South Avenue, who is installing a fire line and was in the process of testing and chlorination.
Yeah.
So we happened to see them with a valve, a key on the valve that we're responsible for. So they actually opened up the valve while there was chlorine in the line, but there was no spigot that was open on the interior of the home. So they actually exposed or possibly exposed the village water system to highly chlorinated water. Fortunately, it was not a long period of time. When I asked them what the key was doing on the valve, they were going to be flushing the line out. So I asked him if he had a spigot open inside. He said no, and I said shut the valve off, and he refused to do it. So I went over there and proceeded to turn it myself, and the contractor came over, or one of the workers for the contractor, and kind of, pushed me out of the way, and I just pushed him back.
Good.
So that he could do it himself, or he just wanted you away from it?
I'm sorry?
Because he was
Did he do it
attempting to do it himself to fix it, or altercation?
No, so what happened was, when I went over there, there was two gentlemen there, both for the contractor. One of them was doing the test, and it was his key. So while I started turning it, they both came over and attempted to stop me from turning it, which, after the shoving occurrence happened, then the one guy pulled his key. So the problem became that I thought at that point the valve was off, but it really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So then, after further discussion with Bill Koval, who's their engineer who designed it, and got some information from him, at that point it was discovered that the valve was still open with nothing on inside. So the contractor went back and he did shut the valve. So,
Okay.
and
All
then
right.
at that point, I immediately called the health department just to notify them of what happened in case there was any issues with, the highly chlorinated water.
Okay.
There wasn't, but,
They shouldn't be touching that valve.
well, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess I would like to see, not for my edification, but for your notes, I'd like to make sure that's completely documented out somewhere, so that if we have problems from them again in the future, or we use them again in the future and there are some issues, we want to make clear that that's not acceptable behavior, number one, or actions. And number two, if they're not agreeable, we may want to consider not using them as a responsible bidder for a project if they can't, ensure the safety and well-being of our water system, our customers, and our staff.
Agreed.
Sounds logical to me.
I had went over there afterwards, after the incident. Ken had told me about it, and I openly communicated and explained the whole process again to them, and basically they were understanding after understanding. So it's fairly smoothed over, although I would highly suggest Ken doesn't go there again, but which is fine. That's why there's three of us.
Just a memo to file in case we have any issues in the future. I think it's, it doesn't, I'm not saying make an issue of it. I'm just saying, make sure there's some memorialization.
Well, this will definitely stay as part of the record. Marie holds on to these in the office.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
My inspector, you see that there's a note there. He was actually calling me and was on the phone with me because he was wondering why he was like, I didn't think they were supposed to turn the key.
Mhm.
So he was on the phone with me when you showed up, Ken. And then was explaining to me what was happening. So we do have a witness.
Well, unfortunately, he must have been on the phone for a long time, because when I drove by, he was still in the car. So,
Yeah, well, we were talking for quite a bit because we were going over the procedures.
so don't forget, you also had an inspector there from the state, and neither one of them were out of their car. So that's not a good sign.
Yeah, that's typical, isn't it? New York State employee. 7 on the job, 1 work.
All that should have been discussed prior to doing an inspection, in my opinion.
Does that go through you or Brian, or both?
Well, the village has the engineering firm, KC, that does the inspection and, certification.
Were they out there that day too?
Yeah, that's who the inspector was,
Yeah.
one from KC and the other from the state.
That's all I
So,
had for
speaking-
questions.
My question for John is, where do we stand on it? Do you happen to know?
I have not heard one way or another if it's passed. They have not sent me any results.
Alright, so maybe we can, look that up, or figure out where we're at with it.
Yeah,
You
I'll
know-
send an email out to Bill Bolville.
Okay,
Get it.
How long does it usually take, John?
Should've got it.
Usually the results you get back in a week, so they should have the results already.
Yeah, but this hole's been open for months up there. December, you're saying?
They had until December 31st.
yeah.
To
so
get,
they-
to get the part,
So
They
you're,
started before Christmas.
Yeah.
yes,
they needed to get the part installed inside the DOT right away before Christmas because that's when their permit expired for their work in the DOT right away. And then they couldn't actually get into the building to install the line until the 24th, when this whole incident happened. And they weren't going to let my inspector in the building, by the way, that day. And I told him, I had him tell him that if he didn't get in to see the equipment, that they were going to be, he was going to call him off and shut the whole thing down.
I was able to get in. There was a bit of a process to get inside the building.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I had spoken with the woman and I actually got inside.
Mhm.
Just so you know.
Needs to say still a long time for the hole to be open,
Yes.
looked at.
I mean, we did tell them they needed to follow AWWA standards, and there's no valve opening in those standards, guys. So that was insisted we insisted on them following AWWA standards for disinfection and flushing, and they still seem to do it their own way. And that's why, like I said, my inspector, when they saw him coming out with the key, came over. He went to his car to call me because he had left his phone in the car.
Well, unfortunately, what should have happened at that point is he should have stopped them right there and got clarification prior to him opening the valve.
Yeah, he said that when he walked away, the valve hadn't been opened yet. So when they opened it, I don't know when they turned the key.
Well, again.
I'll have to get that information.
Prior to that, yeah,
Yeah.
that would have never occurred or possibly could
Right.
have stopped it from happening.
Now, when people do jobs like this, the rules are given to them where you cannot touch our key.
Oh, they have.
And I talked to Kenny today about.
When they sat here in this office, we told them they could.
Yeah.
Everybody was well aware, including Bill Colval, and he apologized for doing that, but, it's gotta be, clear, it was clear, they just went and did it anyway. And that's unfortunately what happens.
Find these people for doing something like this?
No. The next day we flushed the hydrants
Uh-huh.
and, because this happened late in the afternoon. So the next day we flushed the hydrants in that area and there was no indication of excessive chlorine, but that was also 18 hours later. So,
Yeah.
12 hours later, how many hours it was. 18 hours later.
It's something you gotta really enforce. Especially putting chlorine in our system.
Well, it's happened before,
Yeah.
and, people got their skin burned. So, the possibilities of something happening were there.
Yeah. Not good.
Fortunately, it didn't. Now, when John checked the chlorine the next day, it was higher than normal. It was plenty below the maximum level.
Yeah, yeah.
But still, it's, was a higher level than what we normally see on South Avenue.
Yeah.
So,
Not water hose.
Is the hole filled in now?
no,
The hole is still open.
the copper tubing is still in the corporation, which there's a decent sized hole there. On the west of that, it's buried, the pipe is buried right up to the foundation, but, the hole is still there and it's on South Avenue. You would think even the state would, I know it's a state home, but the DOT would say, hey, guys, what's going on here, Because, excuse me, for not knowing, but on a state permit, don't they have to close out the permit and somebody's gotta,
Yes.
Maybe that's
so.
why it's still open, because once they close it, it's closed out, and then they'd have to go back for another one.
I really don't know.
There's a time. Usually,
Yeah, usually there is.
on a road open permit, there's a time.
I certainly can ask Bill what's going on when I send him an email about the results. I can say, when are you closing the hole? I will do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, budget.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, we didn't.
And then I'll
Brian over here tomorrow.
share the answer.
He told me he couldn't do anything.
You can't do anything. It's a state building.
Yes, and I need to look at a hole.
No, it's all state fire control. They'll go over there, they do the inspections there. The ones that used to drive up down Route 9, they have trucks.
I was wondering what they did.
They do that, they do training too, they teach also. What classes, but they do inspection on all state buildings.
All right, guess we're done with that subject. New business?
Here's a question. I'm not sure where it should go in, but did you all get the memo from Jess McMahon, the treasurer?
Yeah,
Okay, so she indicated on there that the budget number should be submitted by March 3rd. Do you know if Pat did it or anyone's done that? You did it? Okay,
I
great.
did. Nobody was getting back to her, so I sat with her, and just so these guys know, I kept their operational budget the same. Because they were under every single line.
Okay,
So it's not cutting money, because who knows, I know we got a couple months left in this year's budget. So I just told Jess was fine with that, and then we'll discuss some other things when I guess that would be an executive session if we were to go in.
Mary, are you home? Are you home, Mary?
next month.
Next month? Oh. Well, we can get her on her.
Well,
We can call her.
Jess did send you, she said she was gonna reach out to you. All right.
She
So I
gave
don't
me
know-
last year's, I got last year's, I got the current year's year to date.
Yes. And last year's is on there too.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple of years in this. So whatever, yeah, we can always meet with her.
We can make a conference call. I got it.
Yeah, we can- All right.
All right, we'll do that. We'll get back to
You
you
guys want more money? I kept everything the same because I wasn't,
No, if we don't use
I mean,
it.
from what I've seen from you guys, I'm not singling Pete out. This has nothing to do with highway or fire, but you guys are probably the better ones when it comes to a budget in the village. I mean, it's hard for
Big budget.
other departments to, Pete with the snow, it's hard to stay in the budget. Anyway.
I don't think the expenditures are the issue, Jason, right now. The only thing I do have a little bit of a concern over, and I don't know enough of I've got to look at the billing cycle more closely, but it looks like we might be a little bit under on revenue, but I've got to look at the billing cycles compared to the budget. I think we're well within the expenditure side, but if we're not getting the revenues on the other side, it's not gonna even out. So I think that's the only thing we really do need to take a closer look at right now.
Well, that's the thing with that whole COVID, is people still able to pay their water bill late? Are they still, the village still doing, I have to ask Marie.
We talked about
Things
that.
aren't back to normal is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we
Right.
talked about that at board meeting,
So,
but our water bill and sewer bill are the same bill. So it's kind of hard to go with that COVID line on that part, so I
can ask Marie.
Yeah, I think we just have to make sure our revenue stream is adequate, but other than that, I think we're probably in good shape. But yeah, if we can meet later just to kind of see where everything's falling out, that would be great.
Whatever's good for you guys, I'm gonna go.
I'm all for it, so.
I'm on vacation this week.
All right, well, that's new business. Any other new business?
No, and I see that you got 8, we just talked about South Ave, so, the sand filter.
How we making out with that, John? The sand filter.
We're moving along. We're at about 90% done on the set of drawings.
Is there any time frame? Can we see those drawings anytime soon, or?
Yeah, I want to get, I just want to go through them myself, which I've been rather busy, so probably Friday, I'm gonna lock myself in a room, lock the
Alright.
door so people can't bug me and just go through them. And, yeah, you should be able to, by next month, or beforehand, I'll get you something to look at.
Okay,
So what, by maybe next week or the end of this week? John?
I said next month's meeting or sooner, hopefully sooner.
No, I wasn't listening.
Okay, that's fine.
Next month meeting, maybe. All right.
At the latest, hopefully sooner. I think it'll be sooner. I just don't want to push them too quickly out the door because I want to make sure I go through everything and make sure we've caught and included everything.
All right.
So, I mean, it's like I said, we're looking for construction site ready drawings, so that's pretty thorough. Pretty, I mean, we're at like 56 sheets too, I should mention. So,
what's real good, so.
and that, yeah, so there's that. And then you got the letters I sent for the South Mizzier and Prospect, the 5 letters. I sent them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You have on here, if they don't fix it in this letter, that the village would be responsible.
That's
So
your
you have
code.
to take that.
That's your code, by the way. So,
But we don't go on private property.
Yeah, the private,
We
your
don't go on
code,
private property.
your code
Okay.
specifically says that you can go on private property and make the repair and then charge it to them. So I copied the code. I'm like, oh shit. Excuse my language.
well,
'Cause I know we didn't want to do that, but I'm like, if they read the code section that I gave them, the next line says, if you don't make the repair, the village has the option to go on your property and make the repair and charge it to you.
Right. We have the option, but I'm not sure that means,
You could sub it up. Well,
no, I don't
It
think we
says-
should be responsible at all, subcontractor or not.
you're arguing that we're not gonna do this because we have no easement to go on private property, we have no liability insurance, we have no workman's comp insurance. You can't make that argument that we're not gonna do it because of these things, and then leave that section in there saying, but we'll come on your property and do it.
Well, we voted here not
Even
to.
though it's in the code,
So
so
I-
I've been saying that it's not.
Okay, I mean, then let's just delete the line and hope they
That's
don't.
what I.
Yeah.
Delete it and then send this letter. Have you heard back from Craig Wallace about this letter?
No, I had not sent it to him directly. I was waiting for you guys to look it over.
Honestly, I think you should leave the part about the code completely out and allow Brian to handle that. In other words, you could discuss with them about attempting to get the easement, but you were unable to do so. And therefore, they're responsible for any leaks on their property. And then after you send that letter, then you would go to Brian if it doesn't get fixed.
Okay, so I could just say per village code and not cite the number or put the code
Yeah,
in?
I wouldn't say
Okay.
anything about village code. I would just discuss, the village's attempt, on getting the easements and we're unable to do so. And therefore, any, water line leaks on their property will be the responsibility of the homeowner.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. I'll modify that letter and I'll send it to Craig Wallace.
Well, no, because, that portion would come from Brian. It's not, that's what I think should happen anyway, obviously you guys, whatever input you have, but I just think it's better for the board to discuss that, you did make an attempt to get the easements, but were unable to do so, and therefore, any leaks from this point forward shall be the responsibility of the homeowner.
I have a question. John, there's nothing after sincerely. What was the,
I didn't
Result
know,
in dis-
I don't know who's signing it. That's all.
who's signing the letter?
Yeah, I don't know who's signing it, so I just
Sincerely,
Patrick.
Water board.
Patrick, water board.
Okay.
Did he, does he know anything? Because he's missed the meeting last month that we did this, and I don't know if he missed it because.
he voted for this to happen.
He's been attached to the email, so
Yeah, but how did he vote when he wasn't here?
we did that at the mayor's office. That day.
Was that the day I left? So we voted on this twice.
But Patrick, are you saying that Patrick was not here when
The
this?
last
The
meeting.
last meeting
Last
he was.
meeting before that, in the mayor's office, he was.
Yeah, because he told me, you better make sure you're at the next one, we got to vote on it. He goes,
Okay. All right.
Am I missing something?
Yeah,
Probably. I don't know.
No, I think the majority of the board, this is the way they want to do it,
Yes,
and that's it.
yes.
Absolutely.
this is the case with the COVID. No one thinks there's stuff in this building.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, that ain't right.
Yes.
Kenny and I argued right from the get-go on that. That should be, and we've, by past practice, like Rock Hill, when they had the water leak there,
Did you hear
we
that
did
word?
not go on their private property, we made them.
Did you hear that word? Past practice.
That's about
That means you need to still continue.
Okay.
If they were to push something like that, I suggest that we
Oh,
go to
well,
a contractor and we get a nice, good price to give them.
Well, yeah, you would want to charge them for every pipe, machine, however many laborers you got there, the item,
But even then,
whatever,
you know, you-
grass seed, whatever.
If you do it with just the village stuff, it ends up being Kenny's right, it ends up being the cheapest fix
We
you
got
can
that,
have.
we got the one talking spot there, so that's the letter gets out there.
I would just like to see this number 4 off the list next month.
I'd love
I've been on the board, I don't know, am I going on 3 years maybe, and it's been here every month.
It's been there a long time.
You're probably tired of it too, right?
Okay. So Pat's signing it? Is that what I'm getting out of this?
That's what we're making sign.
Yeah, he's not here, so we're telling him he's got.
Yeah, okay. There you go. All
He
right.
might not put his name on there.
Too bad.
Water board or whatever.
Put
Okay.
Jason on there.
Or should we put Brian on there?
No,
And two.
I would think,
No, I
you know,
think,
water board.
Water board?
The chairman, the water board.
Pat Chase,
Yes.
Water Board Chairman.
Chairman, right. You got it.
Okay. I've changed sincerely to
All right,
respectfully too. It's like sincerely.
anything else, Byron?
All right, so I'm gonna leave the code in there, just citing that, and then I'll say failure to make repairs, because I want them to know that we're citing town code. I think that's important.
So you
I
ended
would-
after the sentence failure to make repairs, no, and
Right,
that
so
they have to
that,
make it
yeah,
within 10 days, yeah.
yeah, and I will leave out the part that we have any intention of going in there. So we're gonna shut their water off, and 10 days will be based on whatever. And I'm gonna combine those two paragraphs. All right. Okay. And I will modify this and get that out to you. And, well, I'll send it to Craig just to review. I'm sure he'll have something to say.
I'm sure you will too, but we'll override.
How's that?
All right, moving on, I guess, to upcoming meetings. I got the 12th of April, second Monday.
Okay, that's my job.
Is everybody good with that? Okay,
In person.
in person.
Okay.
Mary, if you're back,
Yep, I'm back.
if you're comfortable.
Are we gonna start? Well, I have my vaccine by then, so my second vaccine, I will be.
We'll see you then.
Yep, I went to the doctor to get my letter to say that, you know, because I have high blood pressure, and they also checked obese on me. It's like, God. Thanks. I needed that. Yeah. So, yes. So I'll waddle in maybe next week or next month.
All right,
All right.
we can wobble, we don't fall down.
That's it. That's it.
And we're still doing O and M meetings, we're fine with that,
Yeah,
everybody's good with that?
maybe when this shit or stuff, gets going, maybe we should start having them, like when the sand filter.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I may not even be on the board by then, so whatever.
well, something like that, just that.
John, I have a quick question. The guys that you had, and, what's her face? I forgot her name. That was here last week. Everything was all good, copacetic?
Yep, yeah, thank you for helping them out. They were really able to chase things down and figure out how to connect the two buildings. As far as controls, that was mostly the control team to see the
They had-
electrical and then the controls, so.
Right. Did they mention anything about gas and generator and all that? Or-
We're hoping to go with a natural gas generator. Now that Central Hudson plopped a regulator right out front, I think we can get natural gas so you don't have to store diesel.
Right.
So, and if you want us to, I mean, you've got a generator now, but that's a diesel generator, right?
Yeah, I was curious if it was enough to carry over to the other building. And
We
if
could
not-
try that. I mean, I can certainly ask them to size it. I mean, the bulk of the load is really the pumps, and that's going to be in this building. So you're really not running the same. I mean, right now your load is the wells, and that gets shifted to the other building now.
Gotcha.
So I can certainly I'll have them size the generator to, so they can handle both buildings, and then you won't have to store diesel anymore, which is probably a good thing. They're right by the water source.
I did mention.
We were made to do that because DOH did not consider gas generators a true standby.
Back in
at the time.
2012.
Correct.
How about now?
I don't know. I don't know that they've changed your position.
Well, that's news to me. I mean, I can't tell you how many I've put in at water facilities and well sites.
At the time, we were made to put in diesel rather than gas.
Well, I don't
No,
think I don't think you had enough column for gas until they dropped that regulator in. I don't think you had a high enough column to run because you need a good 11 inches column of gas to run a natural gas generator and take the load of a filter plant.
There's two lines in the village, and we definitely had, because all the other generators are gas. So we have enough. We had enough. There's two.
Well, I mean, but the plant here, until they put that regulator in, you were at the end of the line. So I don't know that you had enough column at the time. But
We were
now that
told,
there's
we were told at the time we did have enough, but the
Okay,
DOH
well.
DOH told us we could not use one because it was not a true backup.
Just
I'll run it
something-
by Dan Keeler before we
Look
find
into it before you draw it up. Just looking at the. I don't know. Back then, maybe we had earthquakes, and now we don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the excuse. Ground ships.
They said that it was not, that gas was not a true backup, that having a tank of fuel there was.
Is that for like if they had to shut gas off? or
Yep, you said if the gas line breaks, it's not a true backup.
That makes sense.
It sounded ridiculous at the time, but that's what they made it.
That sounds really ridiculous because
But it's exactly what they made us do.
It's really
Just-
not because you never know
I
what's
just
gonna happen.
bring it up so you can look into it before you put it on.
all right, thank you. Yeah, I'll make sure I run it by them because that sounds really strange.
Yeah.
I can't
Well,
tell you how many gas generators I have at water filter plants because it's considered an uninterruptible source. Because they actually
You gotta turn it
compress
off.
the gas through the line. They actually use the gas in the line to move the gas through the line.
But
So
when the
they
gas
don't-
line breaks, when there's a break or a rupture in the gas line, then you have no source. That was DOH's position at the time.
Hopefully.
I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's what they told us.
yeah, I find that odd because I have gas generators all over the state. Anytime I have natural gas, I use that for the fuel source.
Either way.
Okay,
hopefully,
I'll check. I mean, Dutchess County sometimes has like little oddities. Every county does, but that one's kind of unique.
I believe that was DOH that made us do it. State, not
The
county.
state level, oh, even better.
Yeah, I don't know.
They didn't, the county didn't review the plans.
I'm so sorry.
Bill Gilday.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Happened once, happened again.
How about when they were doing the work on this meeting, they did that?
Well, that's good. I'm glad.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've had
hopefully
this, Just even recently, I've had them review plants that I had gas generators on in the last few years. I mean, this is kind of silly, but all right, I'll check. Thank
Yeah,
you.
just double check. Yep,
Yeah. I mean, right now it's just a line on a sheet of paper, so
all right.
I just find it easier than storing diesel fuel next to a water source.
Yes, we definitely don't disagree.
Yeah. Plus then what do you do when the diesel runs out and everything's shut down? So,
We call voting.
yeah, okay. And hope that their trucks are running. Yes. Hmm.
Hello, neighbor.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was one of the topics that we had with them when they were here, so. Just want to make sure that gets ironed out.
All right.
I don't have anything. Anybody else have anything? Patrick? Got nothing? Jason?
Good.
Mary?
Good.
Good. Make a motion to adjourn? I'll make that motion. Second?
Second?
All in favor? All right.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
All right. Take care.
What's that? Fine.
See you next month.
Next month.